The Amazing World of Gumball is a show that we've all watched, and I thought, hey, why don't we build a Waterson's house in Minecraft? And apparently, so did you. So welcome back everybody to another video, and in this one we're going to be building the house from the Amazing World of Gumball. If you guys are brand new here, make sure to subscribe, like the video if you do enjoy, and as per usual, the world download is in the description below, and if you play on Bedrock, you can convert that world download into Bedrock by clicking on the video in the top right hand corner. So of course, with any house that we start off with, we of course want to start off with the entrance. And as I'm looking at the entrance, I'm beginning to realize that the end stone is probably the best suited stairs for this little staircase right here. And I think for stairs, it looks about too wide, but we want to make that bigger just so we have enough space for the interior. 4 wide, I think, would be enough, and that tall is about right. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to branch off in both directions like this for these little walls. And since we can't really put fences on slabs, I'm going to have to use the entire dark prismarine block for that little bit there. So far what we have are some stairs and a wall which are 16 blocks wide, and then this direction, it doesn't really show in the show how long the house is, so I guess we can make it as wide as we want. But for this one, I think I'm just gonna go 13 blocks in that direction for a nice good looking number. Now the real question is, how do we do the fences? I guess for the fences we could use some fence gates. Actually, that looks really ugly. Yeah, no, I think sticking with the original fence design might actually look pretty okay. And I messed something up. Alright, this can't be that wide. I'm pretty stupid sometimes. Alright, so there we go. We have the exact measurements of the house. And I even added the little fences right here, just like in the house. Now the next thing is to put the little shade on top. Actually, before we do that, we need to do something else. Let's actually first start off by making the little floor to enter the house. I think I'm just gonna make it as wide as these fences go, just so we can have a nice little wall going around here. Now the next thing is to have the little thing on top, and this is actually one of the hardest parts of the house, is just figuring out the colors that you want to use. But I think we've made the right decision here using jungle, because this thing so far is actually looking pretty accurate. Alrighty, so there we go. This part now completed. Now the next thing we want to do is actually put up where the door is going to be. But before we do that, we want to have a little wall where the door is going to go. And I think with these new warped planks, or not exactly new now, but I think with these planks we could make a pretty good looking wall. Now the next thing we got to do is actually add in the door. And the only real option that we have for a door is an iron door, because the door is a little white in the picture. And really we're trying to go for something as close as possible, so the iron door just makes sense. Now for the windows, which a lot of people struggle with, what you want to do is you just want to grab some quartz stairs and just shape out the design that you want to have it in. And then after you have your design, it's actually pretty simple to add the glass. All you gotta do is go from the back and just place a bunch of glass just going like this. And then that should look pretty good. Now of course, don't forget about the pressure plates or else you can't enter the house. Just before we move into the inside of the house, I want to work on the outside just to see how much space we have to work with. Actually, I was just about to get started on the outside when I noticed that this front doesn't exactly look too close to the picture. And I think the issue lies with the fact that we placed the stairs on the wrong height. Really, where we want to place the stairs is on the actual fences. And I think that's just going to give it that little bit more height to look just as close as possible to the originals. And of course, we can't forget about the slabs to give it that nice round look. So now we can actually get started on the outside. Now around the roof, we see it has like a white outline before changing colors. And for the outline, I think diorite might actually work out pretty well. Alright, so I'm actually just gonna push this out one more block just so we have enough space for the diorite. We always want the roof to hang out just a little bit to give it that nice look. And then now really it's all about just going up until we meet in the middle. Alright, so that actually was pretty easy to do. The next thing we want to do is give this a backdrop. Sticking with the colors of the wall, the warped planks are the best choice. So there we go. Now here's where we get to have some creativity, because we don't actually know the color of this part right here, at least not in the pictures. So I'm just gonna stick with the same jungle wood because it just looks nice. And I'm actually gonna stop as soon as we reach the house and then put the diorite right there. And we always want to have an outline for our roofs because it kind of just looks better than having it an all plain roof. Roof now done, and so far this thing is looking just great. But that is only my opinion. Let me know how you think of this so far down in the comments section below. Now moving on to the next part of the house, we want to have the walls right here. And what's really weird about this house is it has 3 floors. First floor, the second floor, and the attic. But really looking at the picture, there are only 2 levels. We see the front entrance and the attic window, which is gonna make my job like 10 times harder, and it's not gonna look as realistic as we expected it to. But you know, sometimes you just gotta go off on your own, and I guess that's part of being creative in Minecraft. But anyways, back to the build. We just want to finish up the walls right here. Of course, sticking with the main color of the house, but it doesn't actually really matter back here. So if you're running low on materials or you want to change a few things, the back of the house does not really matter because most people don't have time to check it out. I think maybe we're gonna have to change it anyways just for the interior, so it really doesn't matter. Walls are looking good, but before we move into the inside, there's actually still a lot of work to be done on the outside. Alright, so first things first, we want to add the little pavement that goes out into the street. I'm ashamed to admit this, but I'm actually not really good at building this stuff. But you know, I'll try my best, and I think andesite might be the perfect block for this. Now I'm just going to build it out to here and assume that anything from here on out is just sidewalk. Getting lazy, I know. But you know, that's part of the building process. Anyways, now we have to add the iconic mailbox. Simple end rod with yeah, I don't really know what to put as the mailbox. Yeah, the perfect mailbox. Actually, can we make this move? Yes, the perfect mailbox. No, let's quit playing around. Now I'm just gonna add a little bone meal in here and on the other side. And then add the little picket fence that goes from the side of the house. And actually, this is a really neat trick that I learned from other builders. Basically, what you want to do is you want to place a wall, then a gate, then another gate, and then another gate, and then a wall. And then it creates this effect of going up and down, just like a picket fence in real life. Alright, now the very last thing that I noticed is that there's a little chimney up here. Chimney looks to be around the same shade of white as this right here. So I'm just going to add it using the same diorite blocks like this. Oh, also, how could I forget the attic window? I'm actually not going to use the same trick as this one, even though it kind of could work for this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some trapdoors that go like this, and then some more going in this direction, just to create this nice outline that sticks out from the entire house. And before we even move to the inside, this thing is looking great. And this is where it goes downhill. Alright, so first things first, we need to somehow go down to the first floor. Now I know this isn't accurate, but like I said, the structure of this house doesn't exactly make any sense. So we're gonna need to kind of freehand this. Alright, so moving down in here, what I notice is that the entire floor is made out of blue wool. Blue carpet, I should say. So let's quickly switch out this grass for some wool. Most of the floor has been filled out with wool. I want to leave this little space right here just for the little kitchen. But before we move on, I need to add some lighting in here. Honestly, this right now is just hurting my eyes. Alright, here you go, a nice little trick to add here. You just want to go up 2 end rods back to back, and then a honeycomb right here, and that gives you a nice little lamp. Now trying to copy exactly what the house looks like, they have a little like wall that separates the entrance from the living room. They have a couch right here, and then right in front of it, there's like a little pattern on the floor. Unfortunately, we don't have vertical slabs. Mojang. But if we did, this carpet would look a lot better. But for now, this I think looks pretty fine. And then we want to give them a little table. I'm thinking something like this works out pretty well. For the life of me, I cannot remember if they have a TV or not. But I mean, come on, they're the Watersons, of course they're gonna have a TV. So we're just gonna add that in a second after we add the wall that goes right here. Alright, so instead of adding a TV, I'm just gonna add a painting and call it a TV. That is one big TV. Alright, this looks like a pretty good TV show. A man is lighting, yeah, I don't really know what's going on here. Anyways, it doesn't matter what they're watching on TV because now it's time to move on to the kitchen. Now, the angle that we have here doesn't leave us with much room to work with, but I think we can pull something off. First things first, whenever I enter a kitchen, I notice the counters. So some nice counters, especially in an L shape, might look pretty good. And then carpet pull all on top is also going to help it with the texture. Here is a cool little neat hack. Basically, if you put an item frame with a pressure plate and then move the pressure plate to the left or to the right, it looks like a counter. And if we replicate it for all of them, it actually looks really realistic. Before we move on any further, we have to add some lights in here. So if I put some sea lanterns right here, and then I grab myself some ice, this does make a pretty okay looking outside. Using our imagination, we can pretend that that is the outside world. That did, alright, so we have to switch it with some light blue stained glass, but it has the same effect, sort of. Now they have some pretty cool tiling on the floor, so I'm going to keep up with the same tiling. Now to add some textures, I'm actually going to switch out these concrete blocks with some coal blocks, just because I think this right here looks a little too clean. we need to make ourselves a nice little fridge. And I mean, at this point, who does not know how to make a fridge in Minecraft? And you know what, let's just put something on the fridge, so a nice little button, and we'll pretend those are like water bottles or something. I don't really know. And they have a little door here, and I'm guessing the door leads to the outside. You know what, I have the perfect idea to where this door shall lead. Are you ready? Please subscribe. Please do, I really need it. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Anyways, back to the kitchen. And I'm doing the same things for the cabinets that go up here. So here we go, that's how the first floor is looking. Now of course with some tidying up and adding the second floor, it probably could look a lot better. And speaking of the second floor, it's time to move on to the second floor. Now what I noticed is that from the living room you actually get to the second floor, and their stairs do look pretty weird, but I think we can replicate it. Alright, so something like this that leads into here looks pretty good, and then instead of actually using the full block, I might as well just use the slab because it gives you more space from under, and with the power of editing I can do this. Whoa. Yeah, I know, on the Aeon channel, we have the coolest effects. First things first, I want to cut out the stairs from the rest of the house. And then from here, I just want to make sure that I give the hallway enough space to be walkable in and enough room for our rooms. And I think 3 blocks is actually our magical number. Now here we have enough space to make a little room and another room that's going to be used for something else later. But anyways, sticking with the same design, we have to use an iron door because this entire house has white doors, which makes life a little more difficult, but in the end, it's okay. Alright, so now we want to stick as close as possible to the originals. To do that, lime terracotta is necessary. Alright, so going inside the room, firstly, this room is a little too dark. Let's just make a little hole for light for right now. In the room, the first thing I notice is the bed. And it's actually a bunk bed for both Darwin and Gumball. If you guys haven't watched the show, I highly recommend it. Making the bunk beds is really not that difficult. What is difficult is actually choosing the color of the beds. Their sheet is like all different colors, and I guess to symbolize that, we'll just use a blue bed for Gumball and an orange bed for Darwin. And by the way, if you didn't know, you can place a bed on blocks and then knock out the blocks from under it to keep it floating. Now let's add the little ladder so that Darwin can actually get on top to his bed. And then lastly, we gotta add the trapdoors to make sure that they don't fall off the bed, because I mean, sleeping in the top bunk is pretty dangerous. That's coming from experience. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, right over here they have some cabinets or drawers or whatever you want to call them. These will be doing almost the same exact thing we did in the kitchen with the item frames, except this time instead of having them moving to the left like this, we're actually going to be doing them so that they stay on the bottom. I don't know why I just did a full rotation. And there's another one on the other side right over here. Lastly, we do need to add some light in here. There are 2 sources of light that I can see in their room. One is of course going to be using the chain block, and then one natural source of light. And the way that I love to do these lights is just by having this little thing right here. Now I'm not too sure what these are called, but what I do know is that they look pretty cool and are pretty darn useful. So something a little like this with just a piece of glass going in right over here. And then I would say this room is around about completed. The only thing is I want to add some flair to it, so a nice little painting will do. Ah yes, the skull. Next up, what we have to do is the attic. The attic is actually not too difficult to make either. Of course, sticking with the iron trapdoor, we gotta go in here. Then we have the attic window, and I know this is gonna be pretty annoying to deal with, but for such a small house, we are gonna have to make do. Now, in attics, mostly you have just boxes or like crates. And to do this, I'm going to be using a cool little trick that I've learned. What you want to do is you want to place one block and then surround that block with the trapdoors. And then within those trapdoors, you can place some item frames. And then in these item frames, you can actually put different types of things in there and turn them around as you please. Also, another little cool addition, we can actually use some armor stands and then just throw on like a leather tunic or something just to fit with the whole vibe of it. Alright, and here we go. Here's another little box. And really, that is all there is to this house. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I don't know how much it helps you, but it sure does help me. Join the Discord in the description below and send us some pictures of the Gumball house in your world. If you're interested in watching another recreation video, click on the screen right now to see the Among Us recreation video. That is it for this time. Goodbye, and I'll see you in another.